Night, sound sleep, rest. No, you were not faithful in your sleep. But I saw many of you, you were very faithful in your swimming, rowing, and in games. But when we are alone, at that time also we have to be in what all the things we need to do. That's what I want to start with this morning. This morning, the theme is be faithful and challenges and opportunities. As we are in this world, the world full of unfaithful, because they don't believe anything or they don't have any faith, that itself is a challenge we have surrounding us. But among that challenges, we all have lots of opportunities because we believe in individualism. We think that I can stand alone and I have my own legs to stand, isn't it? And I have a lot of ideas. If you think that you can do something, that itself is your opportunity. So instead of looking in your challenges more than that, in that, see the opportunities. So I want to emphasize, I will be talking something on challenges, but you yourself have to see the opportunities in it. I cannot say many things about the opportunities what you have, but you have to find out. We can talk about the challenges because challenges may be the same as we are in this world. Let us start with the key verse. I hope you all know the key verse by heart. I will say, and you can stay behind me, okay? Well done, good and faithful. You were faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Enter into the joy of your master. Faith always has the element of assurance, certainty, and confidence, an evidential value substantiating the thing we hope for. With faith, there is no strain or tension. Rather, it has the element of assurance and confidence in it. If there is strain or tension, trying to persuade yourself to keep from doubting, you can be quite sure that it is not faith. Faith is not the law of mathematical probability. It is not natural, but it is spiritual. You cannot command faith at your will. By desiring something, you cannot say that, or you cannot command anything. That is not faith. Faith is always something that is given, indwrought by God. Therefore, if you want to be a man of or woman of faith, it will always be the result of becoming a certain type of first person. So for Christian, at least, it is a person of faith who has the capacity to be faithful in their responsibilities. This morning, I want to emphasize on the responsibilities. The responsibility itself is the challenge, and that itself is the opportunity. The responsibilities before God and man. The best example or the verse I can choose for you is Daniel chapter 6 verse 4. Can anyone please read? Daniel chapter 6 verse 4.
ആകയാൽ അധ്യക്ഷന്മാരും പ്രധാന ദേശാധിപന്മാരും രാജ്യം സംബന്ധിച്ച് ദാനിയേലിന് വിരോധമായി കാര്യം കണ്ടെത്തുവാൻ അന്വേഷിച്ചു. എന്നാൽ യാതൊരു കാരണവും കുറ്റവും കണ്ടെത്തുവാൻ അവർക്ക് കഴിഞ്ഞില്ല. അവൻ വിശ്വസ്തനായതുകൊണ്ട് ഒരു തെറ്റും കുറ്റവും അവർ കണ്ടെത്തിയില്ല.
So he had some responsibilities even though he was not in his own country. So he was faithful in his responsibilities. So be faithful with the responsibilities which is entrusted upon you in your family, in your church, in your working place, and in you yourself also. If you are a child, you have the responsibility of a child. If you are a parent, you have the responsibility of a parent. And if you are a husband or wife, there also you have. And if you are a believer or pastor or whatever it may be, whoever you are, you all have some responsibilities. Maybe in different perspectives, maybe in different areas. For instance, Christ rebuked the religious Pharisees for their lack of faithfulness. The reason was because their faith was not truly in God, but in their own legalistic system of works. You may say that I'm so religious, I have faith, but faith always should go with in the line of God. Otherwise, it is not a faith, or you are not a faithful. That's what I said. You cannot command anything by your own will. If you are a faith, if you are a believer, or if you claim that you have faith, that is the faith in God, not in legalistic system of works. This passage which we have, there I want to emphasize today the third person who got one talent, and when we talk about him, the first sentence we start with, he is unfaithful. But I say, he used his opportunities. He was having a fear of God, isn't it? Many of us, many times, we don't have that. In the fear of God, he was faithful. But that fear led him in a wrong direction. And he was working hard. He made a pit. He was digging it, isn't it? Many of us, we don't do that. He worked hard. He had the fear. But what was happening with him? What is the failure? Yesterday we saw 4 different types of skits. The choices which we have in our life. We all think that I need to be with God. A God-fearing person. I like to, or I need to obey God. And we are trying sometimes for that. But that try should not lead us in the wrong direction. If you need the right direction, as we use the GPS, always we need to listen it, isn't it? Or we have to look into it. By putting on that and keeping aside, you cannot go in the right direction and you cannot reach the right destination. Always keep on watching. Keep it in our mind or put it in front of us and look into it. In which direction I have to go. There we need God and the Word of God. If your mind is away from that, for even a slight time of moment, there is a chance to take a wrong choice and divert from the right direction. Whether we are in our academic areas, in our family relationship, in our job, in our spiritual relationship with God, wherever we are, always look unto God and seek the will of God instead of commanding with your own desires. Faithfulness is not only one of the attributes of God, but one that is highly extolled in Scripture. Many times in the Psalms we find the faithfulness of God highlighted as a source of encouragement and comfort. We have the direction to be faithful, the faithfulness of God. There is a verse, as God was faithful, we also have to be. Being faithful in spite of circumstances. We always blame the circumstances. When we think about the challenges and opportunities, we have to think that faithfulness is God's measure of success. Faithfulness matters in relation with our responsibility. In a passage, Peter calls for specific faithfulness in a number of duties for which Christians are responsible. He points to the Lord Jesus as our example and appeals to us to follow after his footsteps. That is our GPS. Every morning before we start, every night before we start, we have to put over and see the direction where we need to. The third man in this passage, the failure happened in his life because he didn't share his master's interest in the kingdom. He did something, he was having the fear and he was working hard, but he didn't share the interest of his master. He didn't understand what the master was asking him to do. He didn't trust his master's intentions. He didn't trust. If you want to be faithful, you have to have the faith or trust in God. That's why we have the session with the teenagers and pre-teenagers Sunday morning, tomorrow morning. I don't want to come into that now. If we obey, if we need to obey somebody, we have to trust what they are telling. And this third person, his only concern was for himself. He was safeguarding himself. His fear, his work hard, everything was concentrating on himself. But as Christians, as the followers of Christ, or as we have faith in God, our working, our fear, our intentions, everything should be benefited for others. He did many things, but he did nothing to use his talent. He made a pit, dug it, and he put the talent in it. But he was not using it. He did nothing to use his talents. We know what we can do. What are the talents we have? In what we are capable of. But we are not nurturing it. Sometimes we don't know. With this talent, to use this talent, in what direction I have to go. And we are not ready to even listen. Sometimes our parents, sometimes our partners, sometimes our pastors, and many times our God. This story is short. Jesus' followers, what they were to do during the time between Jesus' departure and his second coming. We are very much acquainted to that because we live in that time of period. It applies directly to us. We have been given excellent resources to build and expand God's kingdom. We know what are the resources we have, but we are not using it for the expansion. We reach a certain level of spirituality within our own family, within ourselves, and within our society and within our church. Not expanding it. The Old Testament theme come in my mind that Rehoboth, take out the rope where we put it now and try to expand it little more by using our talent. Jesus expects us to use these talents so that they multiply and the kingdom grows. Don't even think about adding something, but multiply it. That's what Jesus wants. That kind of growth we need to have in our own spiritual life and the spirituality of the society too. He asks each of us to account for what we do with His gifts. It is not ours. It is His gifts or His talents. Master gave it. You can use it for yourself. Master is not against that. But try to understand the ultimate intention of Master. Try to multiply. Try to expand. Let the kingdom grow. Impact the world where we are appointed. Maybe in kids' world, adults' world, the spiritual world. We have to be aware about the position. As a father or mother, husband or wife, we have to know what is my position is. Hiding the talents, it is unfaithfulness. We always like to show up ourselves, isn't it? Instead of showing ourselves, try to show the talents in us. World, they don't need you, but they need the Christ in you and the gifts which is entrusted in you or which is showered upon you, the blessings which is showered upon you. Try to show our talents. Don't hide it and hide yourselves. Negligence. This person, he was ignoring his master. He knew about his master, but he was ignoring him. Not because of he was not knowing anything about his master, but by knowing his master, purposefully to take care of himself or safeguard his position or his life, he was ignoring the master. And more than that, he was telling many negative things about, or negative about his master. Sometimes we may not be able to do something, but don't try to say some negative about others. So more than his working hard or hard works, more than his fear, he was having many negative things in his life. And we all know that where we are, what are the minus points in our life. And we are very much aware about our talents too. This person, he was aware about his talent. That's why he tried to hide it. If he was not aware about his talent, no need of digging a pit and hiding it. He didn't even think about keeping it somewhere. To hide it itself, he was working hard. That's the interesting thing. To hide something in our life, many times we are working hard. Purposefully, it should not come out. Nobody should see the talent. That is the greatest unfaithfulness in our life. How dangerous it is. The talent was used for a monetary purpose. The man who gave talents trusted his men or his servants. He was having a great purpose to do the right thing while he was away. Sometimes we feel that our master is away from us, just to watch what we will do when he is away. He intends for us to use our spiritual gifts, talents, and abilities to invest in the kingdom of God. How can we invest with the talents? By sharing the love of God, serving others, involving in church activities. I know you all are having lots of capabilities and you are very much active. Helping those in need, pursuing God's call in our lives. Investments in the kingdom of God always produce dividends. Failure could come only from laziness. Your laziness may be the intention of hiding your talents. That also a laziness. And hatredness towards master. If you are not doing the right thing in your life, master will count it as a laziness in your life. God gives us enough resources, time, gives according to our abilities. Let me go fast and conclude this session. As I said earlier, one of the challenges we have or struggle is we are surrounded by unfaithfulness. Unfaithfulness left unresolved will be devastating. Listen to God. Pray and read Bible. Trust God. Ask God to strengthen you. Faithfulness is a long process. It is not ending with by just switching on the GPRS, but a long process to reach the destination. Things happen along the way that you may not expect, but if you remain faithful to the Lord, He will bring you through. Continue to grow in faithfulness, or go till the end. That is also a challenge. Behind the choice of the treasures is the choice of masters. Double-minded or impure motives, pursuits make faithfulness impossible. Becoming faithful is like building a city. It is something that God is constantly building the life of a Christian. Our secular, materialistic, pluralistic world simply cannot understand the Christians, the whole-hearted, all-embracing faithfulness. That is a challenge in our being faithfulness. From a worldly perspective, Christian faithfulness is a fool's game. In this fundamental, godless, faithless mindset of our age, the disciples of Christ also find that Christ's challenge to faithfulness is in stark contrast to the lifestyle and values of our contemporary society and even of the contemporary church. I want to read a verse. First Samuel chapter 3 verses 20. All Israel from Dan even to Beersheba knew that Samuel was confirmed as a prophet of the Lord. Dan മുതൽ ബേർശേബ വരെ ഉള്ള ഇസ്രായേലൊക്കെയും ശമൂവേൽ യഹോവയുടെ വിശ്വസ്ത പ്രവാചകൻ എന്ന് ഗ്രഹിച്ചു. In this world, while we are maybe surrounded by the priest Eli and his sons, like, be faithful. There are a lot of challenges, but try to see the opportunities how we can be. May God bless us.
Should we also rise and pray for a moment and listen from the Lord?